So yesterday we have seen up to partial linked text. So up to partial linked text, it is very easy to use because you know what is ID. Okay, what is name of element, what is class name of element. These are simply properties of some tags, some HTML elements. It is direct tag name. There will be no confusion. So we have direct uses for the links anchor tag. You can directly use link text or partial link text. So up to partial link text, up to these 6 locators, you will not get any confusion. You can simply take that information and you will perform the operation. That is fine. Suppose you have some ID. You have some ID. It is matching. Okay, for suppose, let me give some example. There is some ID. ID like username. Username. It is ending with some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, first time when you open the browser, the ID is showing like this. Okay, you taken the ID and you used it in your automation script. But in the next time when you run, this ID is changed to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have modified it. When you open the third time, it is changed to 7 like this. So every time do you change this ID? Every time you modify your script? We should not do that. It is a rework every time. Okay, we have some techniques to handle these kind of things. Suppose if the element property value changing dynamically, okay, in that case, we should not use ID method or name method or class name method, because we use ID, name, class name, okay, to work with the properties like name, class and ID, right? So we should not use this kind of dynamically changing IDs. In that case, what type of locator I have to use to identify it? Dynamically changing values. So we have two notations. One is CssSelector and another one is XPath. Okay, what is XPath and where we have to use, and what is CssSelector, where we need to use, we have to understand. Okay, so CSS path. So let me open yesterday's like sample HTML file. See, this is the file I have created, right? Okay, so open with Chrome. Okay, so this is the file we have created, right? This is the file. Now I want to identify some element. Okay, so to identify email, okay, we have direct ID. That is fine. You are using in your programming yesterday. Email you have. For phone number you have name. Yes, you are using. And also to click male or female, you have class. You are using. These are the unique values. There will be no doubt. You can directly use. But coming to first name, it doesn't contain any properties. Last name, it is also doesn't contain any property. To use ID or name or class name, you should have those properties. ID, name, class name. It doesn't contain. You want to use tag name. Okay, let me use tag name input. How many? We have 20 inputs. If you directly use input, in which input box it will set the value. I want to set it into the last name. In which input it will set to the values. It will set to the values. It won't set. Okay, whatever it comes first, it will set. So if I want to set the value into the last name, it will set into the first name. That is not your expectation. Okay, we should not use tag name here. It is not a link to use the link text or partial link text. Then what I have to do? So in these cases, most of the cases we will get these situations. Most of the time we will get this type of situations. In this case only, we have to go with the CSS set, either CssSelector or XPath. Okay, again, if you compare CssSelector and XPath, so most of the time we use CssSelector, because CssSelector by default, JavaScript uses CssSelector. Okay, so it works faster than the XPath. First, we have to go with the CssSelector. If you are unable to identify with the CSS selector, then go with the export. So using export, we have so many advantages. Okay, we can now traverse the document. See this for they only have explained. Okay, this entire part we call it as document body section. If you want to traverse the document, traversing means forward direction or backward direction. If you want to switch the element, we can use the export. Okay, that is a different concept again. So today we will discuss CSS selector. So here I have a input. Okay, when I use input, I am getting 20 inputs. Okay, so in this case, what we have to do is we have to switch into the element section. Okay, this document element section. Then you have to check this entire structure. This particular entire structure you have to check. Okay, so in the first day, I think while explaining HTML, what is the structure I have explained. Okay, so it starts with the HTML. Inside that we will create head. Head is for header section, and also inside that we will create body section. Inside the body section, all these objects we have created, right? If you want to set some color to your body section, so let me put some like color. This we already discussed. So again, I will set some color to the body section. So body BG color, some light yellow. Okay, light yellow, light pink, like that. You can specify. So it is giving some black color when I say light yellow. Okay, so what I will do is, okay, let me put it as pink instead of yellow. For light yellow also we can define, but let me put it as pink. Yeah, pink it is coming, pink color it is coming. Okay, so here, first what we have to do is whenever we are using CSS selector or export, first we have to check the structure of our HTML. If you want to use CSS selector or export, you have to check the structure of HTML. Inside the body, okay, you have different elements, right? You have different elements. Okay, you want to read the input tag, which is there for the last name. This is the input tag you want to take. This is the input tag you want to take. So here, just put the Control F. Okay, first you have to check how many inputs are there in the same level. See here, this is 1 in the same level. This is 2. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But it is showing 20. Why it is showing 20? In the other hierarchy, okay, if you have one more division, inside division you have some inputs. It is taking these inputs also as a count. And you have another division here. Here also we have input tags. These are also it is taking. Okay. So in one division we have 5 other inputs, and in this division I have some other 5 inputs. So if you want to write a CSS path, okay, in the name only we are having the path. Okay, we have to define the path. How we can define? Just Control F. Okay, instead of using direct input. Okay, so if you want to filter first to 10 inputs which are there in the body, okay, you can say body greater than symbol input. Now how many you are getting? 10 you are getting. If you observe in the mouse pointer, you are getting 10 inputs. You have filtered some inputs. Now from these 10 you have to again filter. Okay, so if you want to filter here based on the properties, you can filter, but here we don't have any properties, so we have only one choice. Okay, or we can do one thing. We have one method, not method. Okay, yeah, we can say we have not method. Not here we have to specify the property, ID, class name, or some property we can specify. But for each and every property we don't know, right? We don't use the not also. Okay, so if you want to filter this out of these 10, if you want to filter your required element, what you have to do is you can specify the index of your input. Okay, index also it is not a safer notation. It is not a safer notation. Okay, that is the reason again XPath comes into the picture. Okay, that we will discuss tomorrow. But as of now, if you want to specify the index, I have 10 elements. Okay, if you check one by one, this is first element, it is a hidden, second element, this one, third element, this one, and fourth element. Fourth input tag is your required tag, required element. So what you have to do is, so you have methods, okay, to identify based on the index. Okay, first method is, okay, nth hyphen of hyphen type. You can specify your index 4. It gives you the fourth element. Okay, so we have one more method, that is nth child. That also you can use. Okay, here nth child it is not working, right? So nth child means inside the body. Suppose if you put the nth child inside the body, then it will work. Nth child it won't work for the input now, because you are, okay, let me use for input. Let me check. Okay, nth type. Okay, nth child also it is giving. Yes, yes. Nth child also it is giving. Nth of type or nth of child also you can use for the specify the index of some element. So, but still it is giving the first name only. Okay, I want to set it into the last name. When I say 4, 5, 5 it is not giving, or 1, 1 also it is not giving. When I say 4, it is giving first name. This is also incorrect. Nth child, when I say, it is giving first name. Why it is giving nth child input as 4? Here, from the body section, okay, inside this body, we have child elements. Okay, suppose if you write something inside a body or some element inside another body, that we call it as child. So in this body, first child is H3, second child is label, third child is input, and fourth child is input. So that is the reason when you say input nth child 4, it is giving error. When I say 5, it is not giving the element. You can say BR. Instead of input, if you say BR, it will give you the BR. Okay. So nth child also it won't work, because it is taking the value from the body child. Okay. Sequential order, it is taking one by one element. So the only one option you have input for the input is nth of type hyphen nth of hyphen type. Okay, so if I want to set the name, last name to my element, I have to use nth of type. Okay, that we have seen yesterday. See, nth of type 2, nth of type 4, like that we have to define. Okay, so first you have to know the syntax, then you can write these paths. Okay, so let me take one new file. Okay, so from here I will copy CssSelector, few things. So up to here, here, and this is also I can take CssSelector. So if you want to use the CssSelector, if you have some unique tag, you can simply use that tag name. Unique tag if you have. So here, what is the unique tag I have? Select. So I have select, right? See, select. I want to identify the select box. I want to select some value from the country drop down. Okay. You can directly use select. You have only one value. Okay, this you can use as a CssSelector direct. But to identify this, we have tag name method. Why to use CssSelector? Not required, right? It is not required. So if you have unique tag, no need to use CssSelector. We have direct method. So in which case I have to use? But using CssSelector also, you can identify the unique tag name. So that is the reason we can use tag name. So I have two select drop downs. two select drop downs, but the property names are different. For example, if you take this, so here select ID 12345, right? Select box ID 12345. So let me add one more select. So this is automation test. So we have created demo. So we have created one select, right? Let me create one more select. Okay, country drop down, let me create in the automation training here. I'm creating one more drop down. One more drop down. So if you go to here, as of now, here we have only one drop down. Okay, just now I have added one more drop down. So this is the drop down. Okay. So now I have two select tags. So suppose Control F. How many tags you have? Two. One of two it is showing. So now I want to select. I want to select countries from the country, this country drop down. Okay, let me do it. What I want to do is, so go to your code. Okay, so you can copy the same options here, and this label I will put it as for this country 1 and country 2. Country 1 and country 2. Okay, I have two drop downs. In the same drop downs, I have the values, right? So now I want to select country. I want to select the country from country to drop down. Okay, if you use only select, what happens? You are getting two. So what you can do is you can differentiate these two select boxes by ID. Which ID? Okay, this select element ID, select box ID. This ID is different and this ID is different. Okay, from this select box, what I do is I want to use the ID. If you want to use the ID, so we have one more shortcut. You can specify property as ID equals to. Okay, so if you want to select from country to drop down, that ID you have to specify in double quotes or single quotes. It can give you the same. It will give you the single select box. Second, country to drop down, select box. So you can use in your coding. So for example, for this example is, you can specify ID equals to some value and you can specify the tag name. Okay. So whenever you are using, suppose same ID if you have for the some input box or some label, some input box or some label. Let me put ID as 12345 for this male female. So now if I use only ID, what happens? If I use only ID with ID method, what happens? It gives two elements. Let me refresh. It gives two elements. See, again, your code will confuse which one I have to click. Suppose if I want to perform the click operation, because it has the same ID. How I can differentiate this input and select by its tag? Okay, you can specify select and its ID. So tag name and its ID. Okay, if you use only ID method, it will take two. But you have one more option using CssSelector. You can specify the tag and its property. Okay, in this way, we have to use CssSelector. CssSelector, it is one of the examples. Suppose you have two properties. Okay, I want to click female one. Okay, input. Okay, so when you specify with input ID country 12345, okay, it is giving this only one element. Okay, in this case it is fine. Suppose if the two inputs are having the same ID, so let me take here. So this input ID, I will also assign to my checkbox, another checkbox. Okay, mail checkbox also having the same ID. It is also a input. It has the same ID. Now I am getting two. How I can differentiate? Okay, so to differentiate, you have two different class names, but class name also let me put it as same. Okay, class name also let me put. I don't want to put the class name because we are already using this class name into our coding. So what I do is, if I want to identify with some other property, let's suppose, let's ignore that class here. Okay, min length also we cannot use. What I have to do is a type checkbox mail class. We can set some other properties also. Disable no. Check to true. Checked. Let me use true. Okay, let me refresh what happening here. So by default it will be checked. Okay, if you use. Okay, now I want to use. Okay, this is also a not good example, not a good example. What we can do is we can set one more property. So this is the input and checkbox, right? Let me do one thing. So let me put these IDs for these inputs. Okay, input hidden elements I will put the same. Yeah, this is the correct example. This is the correct example. Okay, so you have hidden input boxes. Okay, hidden input boxes. So here these are visible input boxes, male and female. Okay, so now when you refresh, so you will get four elements now. Four elements. Four elements. I want to click on female one. What I have to do in the female one, if you want to click this one, you can also use one more property. Okay, here you are using ID I want, and also I want to use one more property, that is class equals to female. It will give you only one element. Suppose if you want to use more than one property, yes, we have facility in CssSelector. You can use more than one property. Okay, so you can use directly tag name if it is a unique tag, or you can use tag name and its property, and the tag name more than one property also you can use. Okay, so this one also you can use more than, if you want to specify a few more properties, you can specify n number of properties. Okay, it is fine. So now I want to set some value to this name one input. This name one input. This name one. Okay, when I use input, direct input, it is giving 20. Okay, it is giving 20. I want to filter this name one input. This name one. Okay, so you have some properties for this. Okay, so suppose let's take properties like name equals to name one. Okay, let me check these properties, input properties. So name is submit. Name is, the input name is submit. How many you are getting? 11. 11 you are getting. So here, this Google button also, it is identifying because it is also input. Okay, it is also input. The hierarchy for this input is HTML, body, and input. But coming to the remaining other 10 inputs, these 10 inputs, okay, the hierarchy is, what is the hierarchy? Let's check. Body, inside the HTML, body, inside the body you have divisions. Okay, again you have to specify body greater than division. Inside the division you have these inputs, right? In one division you have 5 and another division you have 5. So now if I want to differentiate this button, this Google button input, and also these input boxes, what you can do is simply you can say div greater than symbol. Now you have only 10. So now you have 10 input boxes, okay, inside the div, because there are two different divisions. Okay, one is division 1 and another one is division 2. What you can do is you can specify first division. Okay, name equals to div 1. Now how many are getting? 4. 4 input boxes with the same property. Okay, so let me, if I want to use class, same class it has, name also same for all these 4, type also same, ID also same. Okay, how I can differentiate? Okay, here if you observe here, ID is different for these inputs. Okay, ID equals to submit 0001, submit 0011, submit 0111, like that. Okay, if you want to specify the ID, yes, you can specify ID equals to. So which one you want? I want for this name one, right? We are trying to identify this name one, this one. Okay, it has some ID, submit. It is in the div2, submit 001, submit 001, submit 001 when you use 0001. When you use submit 0001, again, it is showing the some other input, Google, some other button it is showing, but I want to set it into the name one. When I write path, okay, it is taking into the some other input, this from the division 1, but I want to take it from the division 2. You can specify division 2. Again, you are getting 6, these 6 elements. Then how I can differentiate from these 6 elements? How I can differentiate the name one input? Okay, in this case, what you have to do is you have to go with the index. Okay, so how many you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 inputs are available in this division 2. Okay, out of 6, which element it is? It is the second element. Name one is the second element. Okay, you can specify colon nth of child, nth of child, some 2. Okay, so submit ID. Okay, this is fine. Nth of type, not nth of child, nth of type 2. So that in okay, here 1. Okay, this is 2. Okay, third one we require, right? So third one is the name one. 3. So you have option to navigate to the each and every sub hierarchy. Okay, this is in a hierarchical way. Okay, hierarchical way means you have HTML. So let me show it in the diagram. Okay, so let me export this. We remove this everything. Reset. So you have basically HTML. Okay, inside HTML you have header section and you have body section. Right? 2 elements you have. Okay, so technically we call it as for HTML there are two children. 2 children. If you go to body section, so in the body section there are so many children. Okay, H3 label input like that. Okay, and also select. Let me take select div and another div. Okay, there are 3 childrens, like there are so many children. Okay, for body. So let me take Okay, so you have like this, you have so many children to the body. Okay, there are so many children for the body. Okay, so now so what I want to do is, so here this is one select children. Okay, this is one more select. This is division one, and this is one more division. Okay, so these are some input. Okay, one is button. Okay, this is also some input. Like that, you have some children. Okay, this is some BR. Okay, this is also some BR. Okay, now inside this select, you have again children, different children, right? Different children like options. Options you have different option. For this select also you have different options. Okay, this is the hierarchy. So if you observe here, this is the hierarchical model. Okay, this division you have some children, around 5 children you have. Okay, again for this division you have six children, 6 input boxes. Okay, so for these children you have different names basically. Okay, this is option. Okay, you have different options inside select. Different options. Similarly, for this select also you have different options. Okay, for this division you have input children. Okay, so we have to follow the hierarchy. If you want to follow the hierarchy, we have symbol greater than symbol. Okay, like that. You have different inputs. Okay, this is the hierarchy from HTML to body, body to select, select to option. This is one hierarchy. If you want to specify this hierarchy, HTML, body, select, option. So what you have? You have is, so let me copy this and paste somewhere. So let me paste here. So HTML greater than, body greater than. If you want to go to select, inside select you have options, option. Okay, but here you have two selects. To differentiate two selects, what you have to do? Its properties. Its properties. So first select property. Okay, let me use ID to differentiate the first select. What is the ID? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First select it will come and all options it will give. If you have some properties for option tag, you can use. Otherwise you can use index. Okay, for if you want to use the first if you want to use the first option, you have first of type. First of type. If you want to identify the last option, you have last of type. You have last of type 2 for the last option. So I want to select some random option. You can specify nth of type, but here you have to specify the index also, which option you want to use. Let me put it as 3. Okay, like that you can traverse the document. You can traverse the document in a forward way. In a forward way. Okay, in a forward way. So here one more thing is, so there is some huge hierarchy. Okay, you are unable to write that hierarchy, some huge. So here you have some sub hierarchies like that. Some huge pedigree is there. Some huge pedigree is there like this. You have under again option you have some more elements, or under select you have one more division. Under division you have some more elements like that. Huge hierarchy. Okay, instead of writing entire this path greater than like that, what you can do is you can ignore few things. Suppose I want to remove this body. Okay, you can remove this and you can put space. If you put the space, it will go into any hierarchy. If you put the greater than symbol, again it will not identify. Again you have to specify the child, my body child. I want to skip some hierarchy. What you can do is you can put the space. It can directly come to the select and its ID, and it will try to identify the IDs. If you want to specify the same thing, you can specify like this also. You can skip some hierarchy if you have some huge hierarchy. Okay. So similarly, so this is fine. I want to use two CSS paths. Okay. Like sometimes, okay, it is giving, sometimes the hierarchy is like this, body and like this. Okay. Sometimes, okay, inside the body, somebody is adding, dynamically adding some division. Sometimes dynamically adding some division like this. Okay. So suppose if you only use this hierarchy, it won't work because there is no hierarchy like that. Okay. Sometimes it is adding div, sometimes it is not adding div. If you want to specify two CSS selectors, you can put the comma and you can use one more CSS selector. Okay. If you use comma, if you want to use more than one CSS selector to identify the element, you can use like this also. Okay. So this is also one of the CSS path notation. If you want to use more than one CSS selector to identify a single element. Okay. So here again, this path, if you want to skip here, instead of writing, okay, sometimes it is adding body, sometimes it is adding div, sometimes it is not adding div. Instead of writing two CSS paths, what you can do, you can simply skip this. Okay. If it is adding div or if it is not adding div, it can identify. Okay, you can skip that hierarchy like this instead of writing two CSS selectors. Okay, so we can use tag name and property name, and also you can go into one tag inside another tag. I mean, if you have some hierarchy. So for that, you can use this notation. If you have more than one element, you can use first of type, last of type, or and nth of type. Okay, so in this case, what I do is, so this we need for our automation script. So let me put here. So this is forward traversing. Forward traversing. Okay, forward traversing is nothing but you can use this notation. Okay, so notation is some tag name and property value greater than, again some tag name and property value, or if you don't want to specify the property name, that also fine. Okay, so these are, if you are using only tag name, if you are getting more than one, you can use first of type, first of type. Okay, it is for to identify the first element. If you are getting more than one element, it is to identify first element. Okay, so you have last of type also. So using last of type, you can use last of type. Okay, this is nth of type. You have to specify the index. So index you have to specify. Nth of type you can use. Okay, this is the more than one CSS selector. More than one CSS path, not locator, path. We call it as path because we are writing the path. More than, you can put the comma. Okay, this is to skip the hierarchy. Skip the hierarchy. This is to skip the hierarchy. Okay, so let me remove this. Okay, this is the again for the forward traversing. We don't have the backward traversing in the CSS path. Okay, so we have along with this, we have few more notations. Okay, those are very much very useful. Let me put some underlines here so that you will understand better way. Okay, so here I think here it is not required. Here we required. So this is last of type. This is nth of type. This is nth of type. And more than one CSS path. Okay, we can write n number of combinations. Okay, so many combinations we can write. I will like explain while implementing the automation script. Okay, so we have some special methods also in CSS-Selector. I mean CSS. Okay, so before moving to CSS methods. Okay, so here if you want to use ID instead of writing full ID or ID equals to that ID. Okay, if you are using class, in that case, instead of using class, like class equals to that value, we have some shortcuts. Some shortcuts we can use. Okay, so basically in JavaScript or CSS, okay, ID we represent with the hash. Not only not only in a JavaScript or somewhere. So while you are writing, okay, while you are writing your test cases, manual test cases, test case ID generally the header you will not put it as test case ID like that you will not put ID like this you will not put into the Excel sheet. Just to mention with the hash. Okay, hash phone number generally phone number like that they won't write phone after that they will put the hash. Hash represents always ID. Okay, so here to represent, suppose if you are identifying the element with ID, so let's take this select box. Okay, this we have identified with ID, right? Okay, let me go to this here. Okay, we are getting one. Select it is having the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of ID equals to entire thing, if you want to write instead of this, simply you can say this is select has ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So shortcutly you can specify the same thing like this. Whenever you are using the ID, so instead of writing formal notation, you can simply write the same thing in this format. Example. Okay, which means this format. Suppose if you are using some class, so class property, let me use it for some input. Okay, so input checkbox, we have your unique classes, right? Okay, let me check this mail input. Okay, so for this mail input, we have class mail. Okay, instead of writing input class equals to mail, it is giving one. Okay, you can use this notation. Instead of writing like this, simply you can say this value, this class you can represent, this entire class you can represent dot. Dot means class. You can put that value. You can write this way. You can write same thing like this. This is example. Input to dot means class, value is mail. Okay, these are the shortcuts. Suppose I have written some, yeah, so this is the path we have written to identify some element, right? Some element we have used for some element. Okay, so this simply I can minimize this path. Okay, how I can minimize? I can skip this. Okay, this is a different one. No? Okay, this we are using two different. Okay, so let me write it for where it is. Yeah, so let me write this. So here input having ID and class, right? So simply you can write okay. So hash. Again, you cannot write dot male or female. Okay, it is working. Okay, you can use the shortcut way to identify this male ID with class. You can put hash ID dot male instead of writing this. Instead of writing this much path, what you can do is both combination. Instead of this, you can simply replace ID with hash and its value and class with dot and its value. See, simple path. Okay, so the same thing you can write like this. Okay, ID and class. Simply you can write this path. Suppose generally class names, if you take the real websites, so we get the class names, very huge class names. Very huge class names means, so let me open Amazon website, you will get some clarity. Go to Amazon. So here, let me inspect it. Any element in Amazon. Okay. If you take the class property, class, see the huge value. If you take this class, huge value. Okay. If you take any class value, minimum two, minimum no, two values will be we can find. Okay. To specify the different shapes, different colors, generally we use the CSS properties. I mean, bootstrap CSS, which is nothing but classes. Okay, whenever you have spaces between the class value, okay, again, when you use this dot notation, it won't work. Okay, for example, in our like here, let me put one class for one of the values. One of the values like for which one? Okay, for male, let me put space male space male, like this I will put, or male 1 male 2. Okay, so let me put like this for this male class. Okay, male 1 male 2. So here, so without like suppose if you use male, okay, it is giving okay only one value also. It is let me refresh, only one value also it is giving, only one value also. Suppose let me put the male 1. Okay, so what I do is so here this is female, right? Here what I want to do is, if we have the same value, suppose here we have female. Okay, what I do is, yeah, this is the example. Let me use class name as gender female, and this is gender male. Refresh it. So Control F. So when you use male, it is identifying. Okay, when you use female, second one is identifying. That is fine. Okay, if you want to use gender and female, both the values, okay, entire class value, if you want to use, okay, so for let me use this gender male. You cannot identify like this. Again, if you want to identify this one with the actual entire value. Okay, there is a space, right? So you need to remove that space and you have to put the dot again. You need to remove space between gender and male, and you need to replace with the dot. Whenever there is a space between the value in the class value. Okay. So now, this example is for okay. Suppose if we have like this, you can replace with female. Excuse me. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so now let me take some other element, for example. So let me take some again. So here we have input ID, we have, this is fine. Okay, I have anchor tag, right? This is my anchor tag. This is my anchor tag. Okay, this is also let it be. Do not disturb this. So let me take. Okay, so we have selector tags. So let me explain with select tag. We already used. I don't want to disturb this. Yeah. So option. Okay, US option. ID equals to. Okay. US 1 2 3 4 5. US 1 2 3 4 5. And class equals to US 1 2 3 4. Some ampersand, some symbols you have. Okay, class. And also you have some name from US country, some symbols, some extra symbols, option. Okay, I want to identify. So inside the select box, I want to identify this option, US option. Okay, instead of using index, what we can do, we can use any property, right? Okay, or using CssSelector or using ID. Okay, in CssSelector, if you want to use these IDs, okay, we have direct method ID. So something you can write like Control F. We have option hash. If you specify, you are able to identify that option. So here my ID 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, let me take instead of ID class value. Let me take this is the class value. This is the class value. So whenever you say class dot some class value, okay, here dot option dot, it is not working. Why it is not working? Yes, it is not working. When you are using class value, the same class value, it is not working. There is no space also. Dot value. It is not working. Then now we will identify this option. Okay, you have one more option. What you can do is you can directly specify option class equals to this value. Now you are able to identify that option. But here, whatever the value we have, that value is a not fixed value. It keep on changes every time. When you first time log in, this value is different. Some other symbols are coming. When you are logging sometimes next time, the value is changing. The value is changing again and again. Again, some other value is coming. So to handle this dynamically changing values, dynamically changing property value, we have methods in CssSelector. Okay, what are those methods? Methods we have starts hyphen with. Okay, we have ends hyphen with. We have one more method, contains. These are the methods we have. Okay, so starts with method we represent with the cap symbol. Which symbol? Cap symbol, which means it represents starts with. Ends with symbol, ends with we represent with the dollar symbol. Okay, it is useful for Cucumber BDD also. And the contain symbol we represent with star. We represent with star. Okay, these methods we have. So basically, these are the operators. Okay, some operators kind. Okay, which will operate some operation, dollar, cap, and star. Start with. Suppose if you want to use start with, what is the use of start with? What you can do is here, whenever this ID is dynamically changing, okay, instead of using this ID, you can remove it. You can remove it. You can put cap here. So when you remove that ID, partial ID, it is unable to identify. When you use cap symbol, it means, so this particular option class should, this particular options class value should start with US. Okay, you can use like this. Start with, you can use. For which one? If you don't want to specify the entire ID. Replacement of this ID. You can use simply like this. Okay, so this option is having one more property, that is name. Okay, name here. So what is the value of name? This is the value of name. So name property option contains name equals to this value. Name. But here in between US and this option, okay, it has some dynamic ID. It is keep on changing every time. Okay, in this case, if you want to identify this with it with the last one, last text, you can use dollar symbol. Okay, so this ID, this name value should ends with option. You can use this. Okay, so name should ends with option. This option name should ends with option. You can specify the dollar if you don't want to specify the entire string. Okay, so these two, instead of writing this start with and option, okay, if the class or name having the US or having the option, if you want to check, okay, it can be anywhere, starting or ending. But if the value should contain option or US, value should contain option or US, that time identify the element. The same thing, what you can do is, you can also use star. If the value contains option, yes, it will identify. If the name is containing option, yes. If the name is containing US, yes, it is identifying. If the class is containing US, okay, again it is a case sensitive. Okay, US, yes, it is identifying the element. So like that. So if you don't want to specify the full property value, okay, partial property value, partial property value. If you want to specify partial property value, we have these methods. Start with, ends with, and star. Okay, star is not only for these values. You can also use star for this hierarchy also. So earlier we are writing, so this one, right? See, it is identifying some option, right? Okay, instead of specifying some option, okay, it is not giving any option. Why? Okay, so we don't have division, right? Okay, so let me remove division. Okay, if you don't want to specify some tag, Okay, here I don't want to specify select tag. You can use star also. Star also it will work. Any tag. Inside any tag, not only select, inside any hierarchy, if you have option with nth of tag, you can use star also. Star you can use to replace some tag also. Any tag. Star represents any tag. Any tag name. You can use again star in the place of tag. In the place of tag name, you can also use star. See, I'm using star. If you are not sure about the tag, it can be any tag contains ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose any tag contains ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to check, first it will give you the first select. See any tag. So the tag is which is containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a select tag. Okay. Suppose we have different IDs with the same name, right? So class 2 or so let me take this submit 001. Any tag contains submit 001. You have 8 tags. Okay. If you put input, you have again 8 tags. Okay. So you can replace the tag name with star, which means it is any tag. Okay. So these are the available methods in CssSelector. So these many ways we can write the CssSelector. See, okay, in the long expression also you can replace. Suppose I have a expression like this. Okay, this we already discussed, right? So here in the middle of the expression also you can write. So here select hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can say select hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one you can replace with hash. It will give you the same select hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only, right? So let me check. Let me control Z ID. Yeah, that you can use with hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me check what is the ID of this select. Select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. Why it is not giving the result? Select tag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let me check with the other select why it is not giving. It is giving. Suppose if I remove, okay, it is confusing here. Okay, here like whenever we pass ID, here also, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at ending with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it has to display 2 elements, but here it is not displaying. Why? It has appended with country. Okay, here it is appended with country. Suppose if you have country 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, country 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it might have given as 2 elements. But whenever we give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, it is not taking. Okay, so we should not use like this. So what we can do is Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so here let me use country 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, country 1, 2, 3, 4. In middle we can write, and also where is this notation? Class and ID. Yeah, here you can use like this. In ID place. Yeah, here more than one path. This is more than one path. Skip the hierarchy. Okay, so let me write here. Here also let me put this. Okay, if you want to skip some hierarchy, yes, that also you can do. So here HTML, after HTML, remove this hierarchy. Again, it is identifying. So this notation also you can write. After skipping hierarchy also, you can write like this. I don't want to specify select tag. Okay, you can simply put star. Again, it is identifying. Okay, when to use, you have to identify that. Okay, by practice only you will get. See, I'm decreasing this earlier. So this is the path, basic path. Okay, this is the basic path. So from here, I have skipped this div element. Okay, again, I'm removing this, replacing ID with hash. Again, I'm removing this select. Option also you can remove. Again, option. You can replace with star. See, same element you are getting. So like this, you can decrease the path. Or you can replace HTML also. You can replace HTML also. Again, you are getting the same. So you should not confuse in the real time. Okay, whenever you are working with already existing scripts, some people might write the CSS path like this. That time, what is this notation? You have to understand, right? Suppose if you are using some browser add-in to identify the path. Suppose if it is giving the path like this, you should understand, right? What is this? You should understand. Otherwise, so blindly we are doing the automation like that, it will happen. Okay, so your scripts also fail. Whenever it is giving some notation like this, you have to understand what is this notation, what is this star, what is this star, what is this hash. Okay, suppose it has some class. Suppose let's take so country 1 2 3 4 5. This one, right? It has some class style Vardhan. Style is there. Okay, so same thing. Let me put dot Vardhan. It is not working now. Country, okay. Country 1 2 3 4 5. Style dot Vardhan. It has to work. What I do is so remove this one, refresh it, Control F. Now it has to identify this. See, so when you are writing some path, okay, so you have to understand that path. Suppose if it has some, see, it is by looking at this, it is very complex, right, to understand. What is this dot, star, star, what is this value? Okay, again, so let me try in this way. So let me try cap. Cap is not working. Or again, star, no, not working. So the contains methods is not working. Whenever we use contains dollar, I mean cap dollar and star. Okay, so we have to specify in this format. This format. So you have to specify the values in double quotes. Okay, see. Are you able to follow? Okay, so you just need to practice as it is. Okay, how I am doing. Okay, initially at least start typing it. Okay, like that you will understand one by one. Do not copy and paste. Anyway, I will share this file, but you should not copy and paste this value directly. You have to try by your own, by typing by your own. Okay, so like this, generally we write the complex CSS paths, and also we have XPath. That is also very important. Okay, so here we can only perform forward traversing. Forward traversing means only one direction only, one way direction only we can traverse. Okay, I want to traverse from backward side. From option to HTML, I want to traverse backward. I mean, backtracking I want to do, if I want to do backtracking. Can I do that with CSS path? I cannot do. Okay, so all these methods you have to practice to understand XPath, and to differentiate the XPath also you require. Okay, you need to understand this concept. Then only, see, if you are able to identify everything with, if you are able to identify everything with CSS selector, why XPath is needed? Okay, so we have usage with XPath also. Okay, most of the time we use XPath in the real time. CSS also we use, but XPath gives the more advantage to maintain the scripts also, too easy to understand, too easy to use also. Okay, so any doubts in CSS selector? Did you understand what I'm writing in the CSS?
Yes, sure.
You are able to follow, right? Okay, if you are not understanding, okay, so let me know, because this is a very important core concept for automation testing. Very important. Not only for Selenium. If you learn this properly, you can easily work with Protractor, WebDriver, IO, Cypress, Playwright, all these tools. Why I'm able to work on multiple tools? Okay, the format is same only. The scripting format will change a little bit. The all programming languages are same concepts, but the format will change. Okay, but coming to automation part, this will never change. Okay, this part for all our automation tools, this part never change. This object identification is common for all your automation test tools. Okay, if you use any tool, this is common. Writing CSS path and XPath is a common for all your automation tools. Okay, let me stop recording.